me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go! I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta fill it up engine. In my thoughts up.
DeAndre Hopkins just got released from the Arizona Cardinals, kind of at a surprise. And I know now everybody's going to be watching this. Everyone's going to sit there and be like, oh my God, we should go after him. It has to be the thing. It has to do this. And there are pros and there are going to be cons to having DeAndre Hopkins on a team. And I think I'm going to give you a couple of each and kind of see what I make my decision like at the end of this video. It's just going to be a quick video basically discussing DeAndre Hopkins and, you know, the wherewithal of what we should be looking for since he has been released and if we're going to go after him. So obviously we'll go over the pros. DeAndre Hopkins has been a historic receiver since he's gotten to the league. I mean, the guy is just a one-on-one matchup nightmare. Essentially, what you're getting is a guy that will beat every single corner in the league one-on-one. Where, you know, I mean, there are the catches that he's made. Every single thing that he has done in his NFL career has been extraordinary. And, you know, honestly, it's very surprising that the Cardinals just released him. And it probably has to do with the statement that he made the other day. So essentially, you're getting a guy that's a one-on-one matchup nightmare. Number two is that he's a veteran guy. He's been in the league for a while, so he can explain to your younger receivers how to play the game. You know, somebody like that is very, very good to have on your team when you're trying to bring up rookies. It's just like one of those things that rookies will follow this guy wherever he goes, and that's why he's going to be very sought after. You know, coming this now off season, now that he is cut, people are going to go after him because you have to remember they traded him the last time. Now he's just released, so every team can go after this guy. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's going to be a bunch of teams that go after this guy. And number three is just that you are getting a true number one. You know, he is a number one receiver, and he will always be a number one receiver until he retires because his talent level and his determination to be great is amazing. Now, we'll go over the cons to having DeAndre Hopkins. And obviously what we can talk about is, number one, the quote that came out where, I'm going to be honest with you, he basically threw his team under the bus, and I get it. You know, I understand, like, this is the day and age that players do that, where they, you know, if they're not happy with a situation, which I don't knock him for it. You know, if you're not happy with a situation, then, you know, get yourself out of that situation. But obviously he's one of those guys that right now, which every star receiver, you want to have a starting quarterback. And I think he told a lot of truths about the Arizona Cardinals and, you know, what they're about. And honestly, just showcasing that he really wants to go to a team that wants to win and is going to make a run in the playoffs. That, you know, could be the Dolphins because, you know, we clearly have that receiving core and that offensive threat. Now, two of the cons is that, I'm going to be honest with you, DeAndre Hopkins, we'll see if we sign him. There is a possibility, but I don't know if he matches the system that we run. We have to remember that all of our receivers are those guys, you know, that can split out, move around, all these different things. And DeAndre Hopkins is more so just basically a one-on-one threat that will beat you one-on-one. I don't know if he fits the scheme, you know. I'll be real with you, speed-wise, just because he's older now. I don't know if the scheme really fits having him in our system because it's tough. He's not as fast as most of our receivers on this team, and that's kind of what we rely on, is just getting out in space and, you know, allowing them to make a play. Whereas DeAndre Hopkins is kind of similar, obviously 200 million times better than Devontae Parker, but that is the type of player that DeAndre Hopkins will be like. And I don't know if it works for this offense. The offense kind of runs based upon a lot of movement, a lot of shifting, and a lot of speed. And DeAndre Hopkins would probably be the slowest guy on our offense right now. The amount of money that we're going to have to spend on him, again, with like same thing like the Dalvin Cook thing, you know, you don't really know how much these guys are going to ask for because they're a free agent now. So every team can go after them. So it's basically highest price tag wins. And you have teams like the Dallas Cowboys who desperately need another receiver besides CeeDee Lamb. You know, you have teams like Green Bay that need a receiver. You have teams, honestly, like the Buffalo Bills that need another receiver. Whereas the price tag that he's going to ask for, obviously he's older, so this is going to be one of his last paychecks, one of his last contracts in this league. And, you know, again, there are so many needs that we need to fill. We have receivers. We have a lot of receivers on this team right now. And I'm not so sure that we spend, again, because he's probably going to cost, if not the same, more than Dalvin Cook. I don't know if we spend that amount of money on DeAndre Hopkins, just based upon the fact that we're going to be in a bidding war with other teams, and then we can't fill out the rest of the roster if we really needed to. And I think there are other needs that we should address on this offense. So honestly, I would rather have Dalvin Cook than DeAndre Hopkins. I just think Dalvin Cook fits the system a lot better. It's kind of like Derrick Henry or Dalvin Cook, where it's just that person fits the system a lot better. I would say no, that we are not going to go after DeAndre Hopkins. I think if he wants to be in Miami, then he'll, you know, we'll see what happens there. But I really do think that DeAndre Hopkins is going to go somewhere else. I think his price tag and everything that is happening right now, I think another team is going to desperately want him much more than the Dolphins will. And I don't think there's really a place that he needs to be. He just wants to be out of Arizona, and that's what happened. So, like I said, I don't think that DeAndre Hopkins comes to the Dolphins. I think that he is just going to, you know, basically take the last contract, which, again, is smart on a player. To take your last contract, maximize it, you know, because you don't have many more years playing, especially as a receiver. You take a lot of hits, and, you know, there's a lot of wear and tear on your body. You don't have that much more time, or you don't have much more time. So I think he's going to take the biggest paycheck. I honestly am going to assume that he probably goes to Dallas, but we'll see. You know, Green Bay, even the Bills are probably a factor. The Patriots might be one. I don't know. But he's going to take the biggest paycheck, and that's probably where he's going to go. I don't think the Dolphins are going to seek. I think they'll reach out, and I think they'll, you know, contact him, but we'll see. It depends on what he wants to do. Again, just like Dalvin Cook. Depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to have a max contract, then I don't think that he gets that from the Dolphins. But if he really wants to come to this team, then they'll work something out. But as always, fins up, baby. Peace. Have a great rest of your day.